in the video.
Maybe ask
It's fine.
to turn up his volume.
Oh.
Oh, there's a huge background noise.
Can you guys see that, Julia?
Yeah.
You could just move it a little bit because how's that?
Yeah.
Okay, but now it's in any case, this guy's asked for you to switch places.
We're all going.
You're unmuted and you live.
Okay. So, are we going to start now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our regional Gauteng ASPASA meeting. And first of all, I'd like to thank Annika and Nico for doing most of the work here. Thank you very much, Nico. Thank you, Annika. So I think we've got a really nice program here. So I'd like to just, first of all, I'd just like to make some changes to the program. We've got industry safety and performance update from the Minerals Council. That's going to move to 10:45. And we'd really like to ensure that we finish on time because I don't want to run over for anybody here. Can we just also put off our cell phones? Okay. All right. So the first thing we're going to start off with is Nico on non-competition legislation to be observed. Nico, thank you very much. I can't hear Nico.
Okay, I'm here. Morning, Trevor. Morning, everybody. I just always do this little portion of the non-competitive situation because there's just been some court cases again where suppliers have been found guilty by the Competition Commission and fined huge amounts. So we even as ASPASA have never fallen into this trap. If anybody feels that what we're doing is anti-competitive, please raise your hand or leave the meeting, but this meeting is recorded. Then secondly, I just would like to apologize. We were going to have this meeting in real life at Mooiplaas. PPC was kind to ask us to come there or give us the venue. We couldn't do that. We had nobody who wanted to go there. So next time we'll do a meeting out there. Trevor, thank you for your trouble as our regional chairman. And I think I'm going to hand back to you. Thank you very, very much. That's about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Nico. I do agree that Gauteng's Omicron virus has taken off with a storm here. So it was a good move. And I'm glad you informed us about it. Thank you. All right, so it will go straight on to illegal mining with Charlene Badenhorst from Eco Partners. Is Charlene here?
Hi, good day, Trevor. It's Charlene Barges.
How are you?
I'm glad I haven't been married off to somebody else recently. So but yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. And thank you very much for coming.
Right,
so we'll start.
Can I share my screen? And I need to hear if you can see it.
Yep, I can see it. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure if you want to see me too, but okay, that's now. Let me put off the. I'll say hi. Good morning, and then put off my video. Hi. Right, in terms of mining legally, we need to quickly look at what makes a mine legal. Now, what happened is Nico asked me to specifically look at borrow pits because there's been a fair bit of information related to borrow pits that make people uncomfortable. So this specific requirement or this specific presentation then look at what makes a borrow pit as a mine legal or illegal, or what are the new requirements for borrow pits. So moving on, and it doesn't want to move on. So let me see why it doesn't want. There we are. We just had a new update. So these updates are crazy, but okay. We now, the financial provisions have been extended to the 19th of September 2023. So where I mentioned in my presentation that it's June 2022, that is now incorrect. It is now 19 September 2023. And I will move on and say, right, what makes a borrow pit different? So borrow pits have two dispensations. The one dispensation is where a borrow pit is exempt because of section 106. Now that can only be exempt in terms of section 106 if it is an organ of state and it abides by the provisions of section 16, 20, 22 and 27. Now these regulations are then prospecting rights, mining rights, and mining permits. So what it means is that a borrow pit doesn't have to apply for a prospecting right, a mining right, or a mining permit if an organ of state has been exempted in terms of section 106 for road construction, building of dams, or a specific purpose as specified in the notice. So on the one hand, you have a dispensation for specific organs of state, of which SANRAL is one, and these organs of state doesn't have to have a mining right or a mining permit or a prospecting right for a borrow pit. Then the 8th of June, the then minister granted general exemptions, and he gave the exemptions to very specific organs of state, being SANRAL, provincial governments, Department of Water Affairs, National Parks Board, National Ports Authority, and Spoornet, if they do it for the construction and maintenance of roads, dams, harbors, and railway lines. So there's a specific dispensation to which this section 106 apply, and specific organs of state. Then in April 2009, there was a clause that came out that said, even though you are exempted from having a prospecting right or a mining right, you must have an EMPR. So you must have an environmental authorization, even though you don't need to apply for a prospecting right or a mining right. And that implication then was repealed because section 39 was repealed, and then suddenly there was no need for an environmental authorization, except 11 June last year, there was an amendment of Listing Notice 1. So the amendment of Listing Notice 1 said from 11 December 2021, any activity, this includes the operation of the activity for which the DMRE gives an exemption under 106, means that activity must now apply for a basic assessment report or an EA. So, okay, so just in summary, let's quickly run through it. Some organs of state are exempted in terms of section 106, but even if you are exempted, you must apply for an application for an environmental authorization to the DMRE. Now, I've had the question before, if you are appointed by an organ of state, can you then as a contractor be exempted? And the answer is no, because you are not the organ of state. The organ of state is exempted. You are not exempted. Okay. Now, a natural person, that means anybody else that's not an organ of state that has been exempted under the notice that we spoke about in 2004, every other natural person must lodge an application for a mining permit or a mining right with its associated basic assessment or EIA. So, in short, two dispensations. You can be an organ of state, and then you must apply for a basic assessment. You can be a natural person. If you're a natural person, you must apply for a mining right or a mining permit, depending on what you want to achieve. And you must apply with the associated basic assessment or EIA. Right. So looking at the offences and penalties, so if you don't do this, what can happen to you? So you are guilty of an offence if you commence with a listed activity without an environmental authorization, or if you fail to comply with any of the conditions in your authorization, or if you commence an activity without complying with procedures, or unlawfully transgress, unlawfully or neglectfully commit an act or omission that can detrimentally affect the environment, and erosion detrimentally affects the environment, fail to comply with a directive, fail to comply or contravene a condition, or fail to comply with control of incidents. Now, the little numbers there next to it is the fine associated. So if you found guilty of an offence from number 1A to G, then it's a 10 million rand fine. H is a 1 million rand fine. I is a 5 million rand fine. So if a person, so as an example, if a person is guilty of an offence, if that person unlawfully, intentionally, or negligently commit an act or omission which causes significant pollution or degradation of the environment, or is likely to cause significant pollution or degradation. Now, this is section 28 of NEMA. And if you then look at section 28 of NEMA, it says the following. It says every person. It doesn't say every person that can read. It doesn't say every person that's old, that's young. It doesn't say every person that's a citizen. It says every person who has caused, causes, or may cause significant pollution or degradation must take reasonable measures to prevent the significant pollution or degradation, or if authorized by law, to minimize and rectify. What it means is, if you therefore have opened an area, you have caused significant pollution or degradation because you've transgressed the law. In that case, you must take reasonable measures to prevent future damage. And if you are authorized by law, so even if you have your mining right or your mining permit or your basic assessment, so you are authorized by law to execute what you want to execute, you must still minimize and rectify, and you can be held liable because of it. So in terms of section 28, it says these actions has criminal sanctions, and whether it's an act or omission that which cause or are likely to cause significant pollution or degradation to the environment, which detrimentally affect or are likely to affect, thus it becomes a criminal sanction, and the fine incurred is 10 million rand or 10 years in prison. Okay, so in terms of offences, it means that in section 24 of NEMA, the department says to us what we can and can't do in terms of the requirements. And in terms of the requirements, if you apply for a mining right or for a prospecting right or for a mining permit, it is classified as something that can detrimentally affect the environment. And then number two, if you are an organ of state, you must still apply for a basic assessment and its associated financial provision. So we've spoken about the penalties. It can be a 10 million rand fine, a 5 million rand fine, or a 1 million rand fine, and the associated jail sentences could be 10 years, 5 years, or 1 year, or both in whichever case. So when you are prosecuted criminally, what happens is that the department issue you with a section 31L letter, and that section 31L letter then says you must minimize and rectify. It says you must do whatever you need to do so that you can rectify what has been found to be problematic. If you do not act on this, if you do not immediately act on this, the implication thereof is that you can be held liable, and that could cost you money or a jail sentence. So in terms of the financial provision requirements, it has now changed that you need to provide an annual rehabilitation plan, a final rehabilitation or closure plan, and a risk assessment report. Now, these regulations has now been moved to the 23rd of September 2023, as I've shown you in the beginning. So there's a little bit of a breather, which then has specific reporting requirements. But if you do not start now with your annual rehab plan, your final rehab plan, and your risk assessment report, you will find that it's very difficult to close the gap and to show that you are minimizing and rectifying. So in this opportunity that you're being granted, that you can actually make a difference with your annual rehabilitation plan, you will see that if you start costing it, it would make a huge difference if you can start rehabilitating, show rehabilitation, and show that you are minimizing and rectifying. And in that way, you don't have to pay as large a sum in terms of your financial provision. So I was asked, has there been criminal prosecutions? And yes, there has been, of which there's 11% in the mining sphere. You will see waste management has the largest proportion of criminal prosecutions. That means these people have been found guilty of an offence and they had to pay a fine or go to jail, whichever one applied. I've used an example of the Barberton Nature Reserve, the illegal mining case, and you can read it when you see the presentation. And then from Warburton attorneys, ASPASA received the following recommendations: deter illegal sand and aggregate mining activities, ensure adherence to key mining and environmental authorization, register as INAPs for various entities, appeal decisions where sand or aggregate mining could result in degradation, and review the Section 34 audit reports. That's the audit reports in terms of the financial provisions, so that you can actually step up and as a society, as a group of people, make a real difference in South Africa and ensure that the things that happen that detrimental to the environment can be curbed. And that's me. Any questions?
Oh, thank you very much, Charlene. Just to let you know that when I heard that this NEMA method was coming out, I instructed my guys that look after our rehabilitation to go on to, this is a couple of years back already, to go on to this method and start evaluating all our financial rehabilitation on the new method, because I was worried it was going to, you know, kick our assessment, our old assessments out, and we'd have to pay more. But in actual fact, over the years, they've told us what to do, and if we do it, it minimizes your rehabilitation. It's actually amazing. So we've actually dropped, in some of the operations, we've actually dropped we haven't changed anything, but the actual numbers have fallen quite considerably. But we keep the trust fund and everything, and the guarantees the same. So just to make sure we don't fall into any trap. But thank you very much. Are there any other questions for Charlene?
Trevor, yes, Nico, yeah. I think Charlene mentioned it last time when she did a presentation, but the question was, does it also apply to farmers? You know, the farmers, when they get when it goes bad with them, then they start selling sand to the local hardware shop. Can she maybe help us there?
Absolutely. It applies to everybody. The minerals in South Africa does not belong to the landowner. The minerals in South Africa belongs to the state. So the implication of that is that you, as a landowner, are not allowed to sell your minerals without authorization, which then applies to the farmer down the road. So not only must you have an authorization, you must also have the means to fix, which is then the rehab fund. And I agree with Trevor. If you start preparing and you can look at how you can reduce your rehab fund, it makes a huge difference when you reduce it, because by the time it has to be paid, you can significantly reduce the cost.
That actually works. Thank you very much, Elaine. All right. Any other questions? Cool. All right. So we've got the next one is filtration management solution with Jan Hinop. I know Jan quite well. He's one of my favorite guys from FMS Africa. Jan, are you there?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Trevor. Yes, we've spent a lot of time together, especially on PDS and reasoning it out and everything. So, yes, unfortunately, I've left that scene. I think I've spent enough time on PDS, 10 years in the making of PDS, where it came from underground to surface. I think I'm going back to my roots in hydraulics and oil, and this is something I enjoy. So yes, and it's something that's how can I say, caught a little bit of flames here underneath the mining industry, especially with all the increased prices in oil and everything. So I think this is the right time to start educating everyone on a little bit of how to treat your oil and rather see it as an asset and not a reusable product or how can I say consumable product. So yes, I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes just introducing everyone to FMS, Filtration Management Solution. I am Jan Hinop, and I'll be sharing my screen just for a short introduction, and then Niku and Anneke, thank you very much for this opportunity. And they've actually went as far as giving me a date for the 14th of July that Anneke will share with everyone, that I will be hosting an hour-and-a-half training session to educate everyone on how to treat your oil, how to read your ISO codes on oil, and how to improve the length of your assets. So yes, thank you very much, Trevor. I'll share my screen quickly.
Thank you very much, Jan.
Can everyone see my screen?
Not yet, Jan, not yet. Jan, you there?
I am there. I'm just...
Don't worry, I'm also before computers, BC.
Let me quickly just find it.
Trevor, you and Jan must buy yourself Toyotas, then you'll get past that BC story. You drive these funny cars, that's your problem.
Listen, let me tell you that Rian Riedel has had his Toyota stolen once, his Hilux stolen once. They eventually found it at Komatipoort before it went over the border. They brought it back, repaired it. 2 weeks later, it was stolen again. They found it again at Komatipoort. So I don't think he wants Toyotas anymore.
Well, Niku, I'm happy with my Triton so far. I must still bring it there to Dullstroom for a little bit of a 4x4 adventure, but yes, the time will come.
Okay, so where's this presentation, Jan?
Please excuse me for this, Trevor, and everyone that's actually waiting for this.
Okay. Is it Is it moving as fast as your Triton?
Unless we stop here now, Trevor, shall we do that? We'll start
Okay, Jan, do you want, shall we just go straight on to the next one? And then we come back to
Yes.
you. How's that?
Yes, that's 100%. Let us rather not waste any time. I will notify you as soon as I'm ready with uploading that.
Okay, all right. Will you just give Annika a bell, and then I know that you're sorted. All
I
right,
will
so
raise my hand. Yes.
we'll go on
Thank
to industry safety performance update from the Minerals Council. Sisizwe Bakasi, are they? Is that available? Is that presentation available? Sizwe? I don't think they're here yet.
I think he is in, Trevor.
Oh,
It's
is
doc-
he? Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm here,
Yeah.
colleague.
It's
Colleague,
Dr.
good
It's
morning.
Dr. Sizwe
Oh,
Bakisa.
doctor. Oh,
Yeah, he's my friend. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, good to be here. Let me just show my face.
Thank you, Doctor.
Great. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks to Nico, Anneke, and all the members of ASPASA. I'll just be taking you through our industry safety performance update, colleagues. And we normally don't get this opportunity to interact with ASPASA on these matters, but we do ambassador, which is Nico Pienaar, who's always in our structures. So we are represented there, and I do believe that he does take back all the important information and initiatives that we are working on back to you, colleagues. I just wanted to share a dashboard of our safety performance. Let me just look for it here. I had it open so that we can see where we are with our safety performance colleagues. So where are we? But I can tell you while I'm looking for that. Let me start with 2021. Just gonna mute this phone. About that, I had to just take that call. Yeah, we regressed last year. We regressed with 74 fatalities. That was our second consecutive regression in the industry in terms of fatalities. The year before 2020, we ended that year with 60 fatalities. And 2020, 2021, we've been grappling with the pandemic. We're not saying, we attribute the regression solely to the challenges that we have had with the pandemic, but it's something that we cannot ignore. So our board at the Minerals Council in December 2021 said, that was just after the MineSafe conference we had earlier at the end of November, but the trend was just disturbing, continued until December. After our MineSafe conference, end of November, we had about 10 fatalities after that. So then there was this special board meeting where CEOs agreed on 8 intervention measures, which they needed to really work on in their respective organizations. And we have seen with the first quarter of 2022, we've seen some improvements, but again, the trend is not encouraging, colleagues. One thing at least that we have observed that is encouraging is in the fall of ground space. Fall of ground, they've remained our biggest challenge when it comes to safety, particularly from our platinum and gold sectors. I know we do come across fall of ground sometimes with quarries. You'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it is a very challenging area in terms of risks in our industry. So far we had one fall of ground fatality, and it happened in an unusual location, which is coal mine. So we've been having this one fatality on fall of ground, and I must also say we have an initiative at the Minerals Council, a 5-year investment on what we call the fall of ground action plan, supported by our CEOs. So we believe, that hard work and the interventions that were adopted in December by the CEOs and other things that companies are doing with the MOSH Learning Hub, leading practices, we've seen that encouraging trend in the fall of ground space. We hope it's going to continue like that, at least until beyond this year, beyond next year, because we know fall of ground has been really one of the challenging areas. Transport is another area, colleagues, that has been giving us challenges, and we have, I think this applies to ASPASA members as well, the collision prevention systems. What we have observed so far this year is, well, it may not apply to quarries, but winch-related incidents. It's one area that we found challenging in our space. So, and to that extent, we are planning what we call a Winches Day of Learning, which will happen sometime in the second half of this year. There is a company that has raised its hand that it will also partner with us in organizing that day, Sianda Bakhatla Platinum. So we're looking forward to that. We are working with our Learning from Incidents working group on this, and colleagues from the MOSH Transportation and Machinery a team there organizing that day. Maybe let me go back a bit to fall of ground. We had a successful fall of ground day of learning. That was on the 31st of March. Colleagues, it went so well. It was well attended, where we showcased a number of initiatives that are happening within the fall of ground space. So if you need any information relating to that, feel free to get in touch with us. We will gladly share what transpired from that workshop that we had on the 31st of March. So you may ask now, where are we with our safety performance in terms of numbers? So as of this week, colleagues, we are at 20 fatalities, regrettably. Regrettably, 20 fatalities. 20 of our colleagues didn't make it home. Didn't make it home at the end of their shift. May we at this point in time, maybe perhaps bow our heads just to observe that moment of silence, including those colleagues that have succumbed to the pandemic as well. May we please just bow our heads. Thank you. May their soul rest in peace. We do recognize that the devastating impact of the fatalities and as well as injuries on the loved ones of our colleagues. Just wanted to underline that. When you look at quarries, there's only one. I mean, we have platinum, we've got gold, we've got coal, then we have this other mines, and one will think that other mines will also involve quarries and other commodities, your diamonds, your manganese, copper, you name it. So we only had one fatality from granite, which I think maybe may be something closer to ASPASA members. There has been one fatality that happened at a granite, firm. So I just wanted to indicate that, colleagues. And when it comes to injuries, let's talk about injuries. So as of this week, we are actually improving by 12%. So there's a decrease of 12% when we look at our injuries, 728 compared to 831. So that's where we stand with our injuries. And the other thing I would like to flag, colleagues, every year at the Minerals Council, we have what we call the Kumbuleka National Day of Health and Safety. And this year we are actually looking at commemorating this day. So what you see there is what I've been telling you about, colleagues, in terms of our safety 20 versus 2021 last year. So it's just a 5% increase there. So I've already addressed all of this. I will send this to Anneke so that it can be distributed to the members. That's one thing I wanted to indicate earlier. So we're having this day of safety, health and safety in mining happening on the 3rd of August, colleagues. So we would like you, to be informed about this, and we usually involve companies when we do this day of commemoration. The theme is stepping up to the challenge. Sometimes we always present our safety as if we are always on the back foot. Let's recognize. And I did learn that, ASPASA has done tremendously well when it comes to safety. Nico always share with us all the excellent, remarkable achievements from ASPASA members, and there's so much that we can learn from ASPASA members as well. So to say, let's step up to the challenge. Let's recognize excellence in safety, in health and safety in mining. So this is just to tell you about what will be coming, forthcoming as far as this day is concerned. On the 3rd of August, we will actually focus on things like high vaccination rate. As you know, there's been a big drive about that in our industry, looking at reduction in fatalities, companies that have really achieved this long periods of fatality-free shifts, and we'll focus on fall of ground. I've already touched on some of the, encouraging successes that we have managed to witness in recent months regarding that, and of course, transport. So those are the kind of things we'll be looking at. The issues of CEOs, ship and sharing of lessons will be things that we'll be focusing on, and it will involve other stakeholders from organized labor, DMRE as well. And this is our logo, which signals diversity and excellence and stepping up to the challenge. So that's where we are, colleagues. Keep up the good work within the ASPASA, group of companies, members. We would really want to make sure that 2022 is a year where we improve. We don't want another regression. And I do believe wherever you are, you do take safety, you prioritize safety. And I would like at this point just to thank you for the opportunity that you've provided us to actually update you. And if there are, success stories that you have, do feel free to share with us. I know, Nico, you do that excellently. But I think members, we here in safety, we don't compete. There are no egos, and we know the journey to zero harm, it involves all of us. Colleagues, on that note, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I'd like to see the injuries improving, and we won down on last year in fatals, but any fatal is a problem. ASPASA is, shall we say, blessed or gifted to have a really good competition, and we have an absolutely super auditor that goes around and gives us a lot of guidance, and in some cases a lot of shit. But in general, he's a really good guy, and he pushes safety to the nth degree. So I think ASPASA is the place to be. And the other thing that I like is I go for train and retrain. Train and retrain is the major thing. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so obviously Jan is still busy battling with his computer. So we can now go on to filtration
There's
management.
a hand up. I don't know whether it was meant for me, Chair. I see there's a hand up.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that's because he's now found his presentation. Maybe Jan, are you there?
Yes, thank you very much, Trevor. I found my presentation eventually.
It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. But
And yeah, just on that note as well, thank you very much, Dr. Sizwe, for that a short presentation. I would like, well, if I may, I would love to contact you regarding safety on railbound equipment after this meeting. I'm sure we've got a lot of discussions because we're busy in that line as well. Just to make a quick share of that.
By all means, Jan, do get in touch with me. Thank you.
Oh, really? Thank you very much.
okay, Jan, just to let you know, I've already arranged with Anneke that you can have the drift training room down at the dam for your training session or your presentations when you want to do it in July. Eh? 14th. Oh, good. I'm not here. Okay, so no, I am here, Jan. All right. So you ready?
I've tried sharing the screen now. Can you see anything?
Yes, I can.
Okay, it looks like I've pressed the right buttons here.
It gets better by the minute.
You see, I'm a physical guy, not a PC guy. So
we know that. We know that. All right, off you go.
Okay, thank you very much. Morning again to ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to run through this quick introduction of our best practice methods in how can I say, the mining sector and the quarry sector. So we are FMS, Filtration Management Solutions, and basically, although contamination control and asset reliability is a primary focus, lubrication best practices address health and safety environmental and productivity issues. So in short, yes, we look at health and safety. You know, oil can cause slip and fall. It can cause injuries, LTIs. Incorrect sampling is also can cause danger because you're working with hot oil. Dangers of high pressures. You know, hydraulics are isn't the safest thing to work with because if it gets into your bloodstream, you can't get it out. So your correct storage and quick couple of methods to reduce risk of injury. And then going on to environmental, spillage of hydrocarbons are harmful to the environment. And I think this goes so nice into this whole presentation today because we are assisting a couple of big mining entities in reducing their carbon footprint, because I think not just looking at reliability of your assets, but also looking at the way you're treating the environment. Because it's like everyone knows, it's very difficult to dispose of oil. Your best practice in storage facilities, in environmentally friendly products, and then the correct disposal of products. Then if I go over to your productivity, we can enhance your asset reliability by 3 to 10 times, reduce oil consumption. That will also assist you with minimizing your carbon footprint. Reduce unplanned shutdowns, monitor oil health and sensors, and eliminate cross-contamination that most of the people don't even know about. Going on, we are supplying a desk case and RMF products. Desk case is from America, RMF is from the Netherlands. Desk case actually bought over RMF systems because they've got such a big range of filters and environmentally friendly products that and Descase saw this opportunity. So basically Descase owns RMF that's got all these environmentally friendly and reusable products that you don't have to be stuck with disposing of when it's redundant. So Descase specializes in lubrication best practices on your gearbox and pumps, and separate dedicated to education and training. And that's where we come in taking all that advanced technology that's already a household name there or industry name in America and across the world, to bring it to South Africa and start teaching the people to go about better thinking of handling their oil and use it and start seeing it as an asset. And because then you will have lesser oil changes, your assets will last so much longer, and that's indirectly where your money saving comes in. And so with these two companies, they've got 25 plus years of experience in the market already. Let me go on to the next slide. Together focused on achieving lubricant health and cleanliness to maximize performance, increase operating reliability and production, prolong service life equipment and fluids, significantly reduce oil changes, reduce unscheduled downtime and maintenance. Just by looking at these little bit of points that we put together, you can already see your return of investment will increase significantly, where we can help you assist with calculations on what we can introduce to your mining sector of how to reduce your costs and result in extremely better reliability. This is across the world that we are actually assisting people, and Descase and RFM. Then we go to the next slide. That's questions that we get in the industry. How can I avoid human error as much as possible? How can I avoid contamination ingress? How can I make sure ingress contamination is removed as soon as possible? How can I prolong the lifetime of the lubricant? Well, here's a short explanation. Bad practices versus solutions. So you'll see applying contaminated new lubricant oil. Our best practice will be store and a better store and transfer. Applying the wrong lubricant, that's also falling under store and transfer. Transferring lubricant oil with improper equipment, that's also falling store and transfer. And then we go over to a seal and protect section. You know, if you don't have to open up an asset or a gearbox, you're actually protecting that oil, and you actually you need to see it as the blood in your body. Whatever you put in your body, it actually makes you not live that long. And so if you put the right stuff in your assets and take care of that oil, your asset will also last longer. So you're looking at airborne contamination, particles and moist entering the assets. That's also falling under seal and protect. Micron-sized particles, you know, that is particles that you can't even see with your eyes. And in our training session, we will go into more detail of how to see particles and how to go about assessing your oil. So that will also form part of the training session. Your water ingress, you know, that will fall under filter and purify. These little functions is not even, I wouldn't even say a large amount of money. So basically, this will assist in every aspect of your plant or mobile plants. Little simple things like attaching a bullseye level indicator that you can always see where is your level of your oil and what color is your oil. And then we also go into a train and consult. We will make ourselves available to come and do a free audit on your premises and advise you where you can improve in how can I say, in better your reliability of your assets. Then here's just a simple couple of pictures that hopefully will make a lot of sense to everyone. Starting from the arrival, we can assist in filtering oil and to your storage facility. Then your storage facility in containers, making your place a little bit neater and easier for, how can I say, the artisan that needs to work with that oil. Because basically you're sitting with a drum, and most of the times we realize that the clients are using forklifts in loading these drums. Then they will get pinches, and that's where your LTIs come in. Because it's such difficult to actually assist people with getting these drums onto certain heights, throwing it through funnels, and we're just making that the artisan's life a little bit easier, and to make sure they're using the right type of equipment, not to injure themselves or contaminate the area around them. Then we go over to seal and protect. You will see these are the breathers that we are actually using. These breathers are environmentally safe, where you get different breathers that contains toxins. These breathers you can actually repair yourself, and you can actually throw it in a dustbin. It is not harmful. Filter and purify. This is basically just to keep your oil clean. And here I just discussed it. You know, it's the easiest way to just look at a sight loss, and you can assess your assets with this simple, how can I say, methods. And then we go into monitor and diagnose. If you're sitting with big power plants, this will fall into place. That will give you early warning to all your assets and your oil life. And that's about it. Hopefully I kept it this time short and sweet, everyone.
Thank you very much, Jan. Can I ask you, do you do an audit of the operations?
Yes, Trevor, we actually do an audit of the operations.
You give me a bell.
I can definitely give you a ring.
Thank you very much. Right. Somebody else? Any questions for Jan? Okay, no questions. All right. Thanks very much, Jan. Looking forward to meeting you.
I'll leave my details in on the chat, and then we can go from there.
Okay, cool. Good.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, mate. All right. The next one is we've got combating the viruses with ultraviolet light. Now, this with our COVID-19 and Omicron virus, I think drift. If I can talk about drift, I think we did okay. I believe that the operations did do well. But when I got COVID, I decided I better step up to the plate a bit more, and I managed to get hold of a guy by the name of Donnie Duplessis. However, today we've got a presentation by Conrad Kuhlmann, who is the managing director of FAR UVC Africa Pty Limited. So he's going to give us some information about these lights. It's very interesting. I'm definitely going to have a look at going this way and putting in these lights in areas where my team congregates or meets. So, Jan, Conrad, are you up and about?
Yeah.
Okay, you look like a helicopter pilot.
Excellent, Trevor. Well,
All
thank
right,
you very much for the introduction. And firstly, thank you to ASPASA for the opportunity to present this groundbreaking technology. As Trevor said, my name is Conrad Kuhlmann, and I'm the Managing Director of FAR UVC Africa. And we are OEM manufacturers of this amazing technology, which I'll present to you. At the moment, we export it to 32 distributors around the world. I'll just share my presentation quickly. There we go. Can everybody see that? Yes, we can. Excellent. All right. So like I said, we're from a company called FAR UVC Africa. We're presenting on behalf of DPL Illumination, and I'll give you the contact details after the presentation. So what is FAR UVC and why is this such a groundbreaking technology? So UVC itself has been used for sanitation of viruses or killing of viruses, bacteria, and all pathogens for decades now. The only issue with FAR UVC that they've always had, they've always known that it kills all of the viruses, etc. But its biggest issue is that it's carcinogenic and catagenic. So you can't be underneath the light. So this was always a problem. So whenever you'd see UVC light, it would be in a contained area or a contained kind of a box, etc., where they put operating equipment into it so that it could be sanitized. So you couldn't have it on you, which was a big issue. However, in about 1988, a professor in Siberia in Russia developed a product called FAR UVC. So the big difference between the two, really, I'll just go well, let me just start. That's fine. So the big difference between the two really is the wavelength that it runs on. So UVC is measured, the way that they measure light is nanometers. The UVC that's dangerous for you is 254 nanometers, and FAR UVC runs at 222 nanometers. So when they invented FAR UVC and they tested it in the labs, what they did find that there was a small amount of leakage after 230 nanometers. So anything after 230 nanometers is dangerous for you. You can't be underneath it. It'll cause issues with your skin, and it'll give you arc eyes, kind of like if you weld without a helmet on. So what they did was they invented a filter, and they put a filter in front of the FAR UVC lamp that now makes it completely safe for you to be under the lamp itself. So what we have now is we have a superior option that's completely safe for occupied spaces, and it's really effective. Any of the other sanitation that we've been doing with regard to, and it's not just about COVID, H1N1, TB, E. coli, Salmonella, etc., kills all of these viruses and bacteria. So the issue that we've all been having with COVID is that there's been no solution to be able to basically sanitize the air and surfaces in occupied spaces. If somebody got COVID and you knew that they were in the boardroom, etc., or in the building, people would come in, they'd fog, they'd leave. But the problem with that is when people walk back in, they cough, the area is contaminated straight away, because it's really humans that create the spread of the virus. So now we have a product that's the only product in the world that is able to achieve real-time sanitation of air and surfaces in occupied spaces all the time, continually. All of our products are EPA certified, so they don't have any mercury in them. They're certified by the Environmental Protection Agency, the ISO, CE, and we, as we said, proudly South Africa, because we, as South African, as we OEM manufacture and assemble them here and export them. Our products are being tested at CSIR against SARS itself. It was actually tested in the Weapons of Mass Destruction lab, funnily enough. But if you think about it, COVID is a weapon of mass destruction, and it has done exactly that. We've also had it tested at the National Health Laboratory Services with regard to air sanitation and, again, surface and for COVID. We're also part of IUVA, which is the International Ultraviolet Association, and we've also had our product tested by NAMISA, which is photobiological, just to prove that our product is 222 nanometer and that there's no radiance after 230 nanometers. So, like we said, that this slide will just show you how it works. So normal UVC 254 does penetrate into your skin, does cause issues. It does penetrate into your eyes. 222 doesn't. So one of the things that I did just to prove a point is I sat underneath a 150 watt lamp. It was 7 centimeters away from my arm. I went to the doctor, had some skin cut out of my arm, stitched me up. I sat under the lamp for 13 hours. It was 7 centimeters away from my arm. I went back to my doctor. They cut some more skin out. We sent it to Lancet Labs to have it tested to prove a point, and Lancet Labs came back and said the only difference after you sat under the lamp is that you had a slight suntan on your arm. What does that mean? Well, I was exposed to 210,000 millijoules of far UVC radiation on my arm. To put that into context, the regulation, which is done by the ACGIH in America, regulated last year, the regulation was 23 millijoules per square centimeters over an 8-hour period. I had 210,000 millijoules on my arm over a 13-hour period. But what has happened, and we were all waiting for it, is that because far UVC has been pushed into the limelight because of COVID, etc., they've adjusted the regulation, the ACGIH, and it's gone from 23 millijoules per square centimeter to 479 millijoules. So they've increased it by 21%, which again just adds a lot of weight behind the fact that far UVC is completely safe to have around people. So the products that we have that we distribute is we have got, these are the industries we serve. Obviously, far UVC should be everywhere. We have various installations around the world, which we'll go through, and here in South Africa as well, but really anywhere. One of the interesting areas is food processing. Obviously, mines is a big one. At Phoscor, we're busy chatting to Phoscor. They have a big issue with the large mining trucks that they're having to clean them down and fog them every time they have a shift change, and it's causing issues with the interiors of their trucks, also the electronics, etc. And we're looking at putting in a cab unit. So a cab unit is a 12 or 24 volt unit with a 21 lamp that will basically sanitize that whole cab, but on a continual basis. So remember, it's doing it all the time. This is not temporary sanitation, it's continuous sanitation. So the products that we have, this is a 150 watt lamp that you can see here. So a 150 watt lamp covers 56 square meters. And just to put it into context, if COVID was 2.5 meters away, so if it was mounted on your ceiling, which is generally 2.5 meters, and COVID was on the floor, it'll kill it in 9 minutes. The closer you get to the lamp, the quicker the sanitation happens. So just picture it kind of as you get closer to the lamp, it gets hotter and hotter. That's basically, it kills quicker and quicker. So we have hand sanitation units. Put your hands in, and this is just using light. Put your hands in, 8 seconds, and your hands are completely sanitized. All of this scientifically proven through CSIR, NAMISA, and around the world. There's many, many white papers on this product, and it really is an amazing product. We have a 20 watt unit as well. So a 20 watt unit basically just covers a smaller area, 30 square meters, takes 55 minutes at 2.5 meters. So with regard to the regulation, etc., you know, what does that mean? How does that work, etc.? To put it in layman's terms very quickly, if you were sitting underneath a 150 watt lamp, your height would be about 1.3 meters. You'd be able to sit underneath that lamp for 10 hours solidly before you got to the threshold limit value of 479 millijoules, which basically means you can sit under it the whole day. Nobody sits under in one place for 10 hours. So therefore, it makes it completely safe to sit underneath it. This is the cab unit that we are talking about, that we're having a look at Foscor. This is a 12 or 24 volt, can also be 220 as well. Attaches very easy. It's specifically meant for interior vehicles, ambulances. We are doing a test on them with the 911 ambulances for Netcare. We also have a mobile device. We developed this for the hospitality industry, that they can actually move it around with their cleaning crew or their housekeeping. They put it in the room, and while they're in the room, the light is on and it's sanitizing the room as well. We also have a sanitation gateway. This has got 8 lamps in it, 8 seconds. You walk in, it's automatically timed, it goes on. You turn around, it goes off, you walk out. The UV POS, I particularly like this product. I have an issue myself when I go to Woolworths, etc., and I've got to type in put in my code, etc. Thousands of people touch it all the time and they don't clean it. This will basically sanitize that UV. It will sanitize a point of sale in 2 minutes. That's our hand sanitation unit. It's got a green and blue light in. When you put your hands in, the light goes blue. When it's done, the light goes green, and you can actually see the lamp turns off, and your hands are completely sanitized in 8 seconds. Some of the installations that we've done, like I said, we are in 32 countries around the world. We've done various installations in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. You can see that's a 150 watt lamp that we've put in there. This is in Bloemfontein, Caramellos. Very interesting one in Bloemfontein. Econo Foods, they do a lot of meat processing, and they were having an issue with their carcasses getting mold on them. And we told them our product can sort that out for them. We put it in. We did a pilot project. The lab came in. They did a swab test. The 2 bacteria that was an issue registered at 140 and 240. They came back 5 days later. It should have been much higher because bacteria grows over that period. They did the test. They came back and they registered at less than 10. They're now rolling that out into all of their cold storage facilities to protect their carcasses and stop that bacterial growth, etc. Egg in Cape Town, we've got it in Egg in Cape Town. It's a big store in Cape Town. Here, Les Amis is actually in the UK, the Channel Islands. We're starting to roll out the project in Channel Islands in their frail care facilities. They've got obviously that's the people that are the most affected by the product, etc. Redham House, we did a trial with them. At the schools, obviously with the little guys, they don't know how to social distance, etc., etc. So when it comes to mines and you know how can this assist people in the mining industry, etc., what we do is we have a look at where the risk is the highest. So obviously areas where people, for instance, canteens, people take their masks off, they're eating, they're breathing, there's no protection there. Change rooms, also a really big one. Inside their vehicles, also a really big one. Meeting rooms, offices, etc., etc. This is a fantastic product that is so relevant at the moment. Last thing that I'm going to mention also is that there is legislation with regard to air changes per hour. So they've worked out a calculation of area times the amount of people in the area will equal how many times you need to be changing that air. Changing that air meaning that you need to have fresh air either pushed in and out of that area. Aircon is not changing an air, that's just recirculating the air, it doesn't do anything. And they did what did they do? Sorry, they did a test or a what do you call it? No, anyway, they did a test in the UK in the Leeds to have a look at air changes per hour, etc., and how well does UVC work, far UVC work in an area. With regard to, there's also people who are selling air sanitation devices that are portable. You can put it in a room, turn it on, sucks the air in, sanitizes it, pushes it out, etc. And they did a study, sorry, that's the word, the study on what the difference is. So with the portable units, you're looking at about 9 air changes per hour. With far UVC, listen to this, 3,000 air changes per hour, equivalent air changes per hour. So it's not only a product that is really efficient because it's not using a lot of electricity, it uses the same amount as a fluorescent light, but it's also highly, highly effective. So it is killing all of the viruses that are flying around in the air on a continual basis in real time and sanitizing your surfaces too. I think that's about it. Thank you very much for the opportunity. If you need to know any more about this product, would like us to come and do an assessment on your site, ASPASA will give you the details. You can contact us and we can come through to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Conrad. Look, I've asked all my questions when you did the previous presentation to me. So I think it's a great piece of equipment that can really work. Is there any other questions for Conrad? All right. Thank you very much, Conrad. Okay, so we're going on to environmental. It's a big topic with Anthony Bowens. He's our new ASPASA environmental auditor, and I was privileged to have him for 3 audits, one after the other. Anthony, you there?
I am, Trevor. Thank you. Yes, I am.
Great. Okay, mate, you can take it away. Huh?
Thank you, Trevor. Yeah, it was an interesting 3 days we had, wasn't it? It was really great. I just want to get my screen up.
It was very interesting. Thank you.
Right, can you see my screen? I imagine so.
Yeah, I've got it here. Thank you.
You got it. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you, Trevor and ASPASA. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Anthony Bowen, and as Trevor said, I'm the new environmental auditor for ASPASA. Just trying to get going. Right. The global focus on environmental issues and the way that we do business in industry has highlighted the need for our industry to actually become more increasingly environmentally aware and compliant. I think we've all realized that at this stage it's not a debate. It's not a negotiable issue anymore. We need to get we need to get our acts together. ASPASA identified the need to continue with the environmental audits. This was after, or actually during the lockdown period, where Nico realized that there was a need for that, and we redesigned the audit that was originally in place in order to create an audit that was more user-friendly, and it was designed by the industry for the industry. I think that was an important part of what happened there. We set up an environmental committee. I was fortunate to be the chairman of that committee, and we had a lot of interaction and a lot of input from the various member companies, and we eventually came up with a workable document that was very much based on the old about face audit, with a few changes and a bit of emphasis on different areas. So what we came up with, and remember now this was designed during lockdown, was that audits were conducted annually, and there was the choice of either physical or online audit. And this year's program, it's actually split. It's about a 50-50, a little bit more on the physical side. There were 1 or 2 members that wanted physical instead of online. But if you've done a physical this year, you'll do an online next year. So the audit program, both online and physicals, comprise of a training module. And I think it's important that we get a level of training going through. It certainly has been well received up to date, so that people are more aware and know what to do, so that you don't sit there with a mouthful of teeth and pretend that everything's good. we share information. It's a very nice interactive training session, and a lot of good ideas come from the floor and from operations. I give my inputs from the ASPASA perspective, and that's what the training module comprises of. Manager's presentation. I think this is becoming a little bit of a dreaded part of the audits, and that was originally designed to ensure that the managers are up to speed with what they need to know. And remember that these audits are not designed to come and beat you over the head. That was really, it's designed to increase your knowledge and to get you compliant. So the manager's presentation is a very important part of the audit because it answers a number of questions. In fact, if it's well done, the audit is a very simple process after that. Then, of course, we do a document review with the online audits. The physical side, we do a physical site assessment, and we also do a document review after that. So it's quite a comprehensive process, you know, obviously the findings come out after that. All the audits, and as I said earlier on, make provision for discussions and the sharing of information. It's important, and I really want to emphasize this, it's important that we share information to improve and increase people's knowledge and skill. This is just to give you an idea of what we are looking at and where the weighting is on the audits. On the left-hand side is the online compliance audit. There we're looking to see, do you know what your EMPR states? Is it up to date? All the legal things. Mine plans, social labor plans, the EPA's environmental performance assessments, financial provisions. Charlene made reference to that earlier on, and as did Trevor, how important it is that you get that right. Water use authorization. Are you on track with the right things? Rehabilitation plans, etc. And I'm not going to read everything, but you can see what those are about. And then right at the end, the manager's presentation, which accounts for roughly 10% of the audit outcome. On the right-hand side is a physical audit. We look at mining boundaries, water management, hazardous waste, and waste management and disposal. It's a big topic at the moment because I'll cover that just now. Air, dust, and noise control, stakeholder, again, a big one, community management, alien vegetation, satellite industries, environmental awareness. Do your staff know what's going on in terms of environmental things? Do you know as the operations manager? And then obviously correction of compliance, audit gaps. Then the manager's presentation there on the physical side is equally as important, as you can see. So the audits for 2022, we started up in February 2022, both physical and online. To date, I must be honest, the operations have really presented well-prepared audits. I think they've really gone out and you know, showed that they are very proud of their operations, that they don't want to fail, they want to put their best foot forward, and really I appreciate it. It's so nice to get to operations and the guys are putting up, you know, give you what is needed and have taken the trouble to present and prepare for the audits. What I've found is that managers in general have certainly demonstrated their knowledge and improved knowledge and their understanding. I think a lot of them, for the first time, have actually read the EMPR and are really getting involved, which is really what we've tried to achieve. Most sites include members of staff in the audit process. I would encourage people that are still going to do their audits this year to please include as many people as possible. You know, from not only from the training perspective, but walk with me when I am on site or sit through the audit process, especially our young and upcoming managers. It just gives them a very good grounding as to where and what is required in terms of environmental compliance. Positive aspects. All sites that I've been to have shown a commitment to achieve their environmental compliance. I don't know if it's because I'm an old quarry manager that I knew where all the nonsense would be hidden, that the guys were a bit scared of me, but certainly they've shown shown a lot of commitment. And I was very impressed to date with a lot of the proactive measures that guys are putting in place. Teams, the managers and their teams are really looking to address certain things. And they ask questions, which is great. That's what we want. A lot of innovative ideas that are being implemented. And I must say, most of the legal compliance documentation and returns are being submitted as required, which is all a very positive aspect. And I think, you know, just to dwell on that for a bit, if you look at the penalties and what can go wrong on the environmental side, and you personally are responsible, it's good that this is a positive finding. Standard of housekeeping on the majority of sites has been very nice. I arrived at some of the sites very early in the morning. They weren't expecting me, so they didn't have time to polish it up for the auditor, and it was good. You know, you can always see if a site is being looked after. So I think this is generally the standard of housekeeping on the physical side was very good. Diesel and oil storage facilities, I think, have also been well managed and are in good condition. There's an odd person that didn't do it so well, but I mean, that we spoke about. Then I think, you know, just to add on to what Jan Hennep was saying in terms of oil and you know, carbon oils and diesels and things like that, please have a look at innovative ideas there so that we can reduce the amount of oil that we actually dispose of. If we can extend the life, it's a fantastic thing for the environment. Alien vegetation control programs are being well implemented. There is a bit of, on some of the sites, we've noticed that you know, the finances are not too healthy, as we are. Some operations are battling, but people at least have got their programs in place and they are being implemented. And then a very important one is the community relations and communications. And I've seen some really dynamic programs that have been put in place to make sure that those community relations are kept well and that there's an open line of communication. And ladies and gentlemen, I think in our modern times in South Africa and our present times, this is absolutely crucial, that your community relations are kept up to date, and that, you know, you can't delegate this. You have to, as the operations manager, or at least a senior person on site, needs to be dedicated to ensure that this works well. It really is well worth it. Dust control on site, we've noticed that's been effective. A couple of the sites have not run the day I was there. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but Eskom helped them due to load shedding. So, but in general, one can see if dust is being controlled well. The dust monitoring programs, etc., are also being done, and it's done well. Some of the negative aspects, not very many. Dedicated environmental emergency drills are lacking on a number of sites, so please have a look at that. You can combine that with your health and safety emergency drills. You know, for example, a diesel spill or an oil spill can be combined with a slip and trip and an evacuation, etc. So think of it like that and do that. Ablution facilities at some sites are not up to standard, and this is something I was actually I'm going to be looking at every site I go to. Please get those things up to date. You can't expect your staff to give you everything that you need and to be environmentally conscious and friendly if their facilities are not up to speed. There's a lack of effective energy reduction measures and awarenesses. And folks, I think it's important for your bottom line that you start looking at those things. It can save you a lot of money. Some of the few little things that we looked at was unnecessary idling, particularly on front-end loaders. And a number of sites I've been to, guys will tell me, no, it's working. They've got a good, there's no unnecessary idling. And when we walk out onto site, there's a front-end loader standing idling or just driving around unnecessarily. So, it's going to cost you a lot of money, especially at the cost of fuel these days. So have a look at those. It can only benefit the environment and your bottom line. So there's a win-win on both this one. Waste management, and Charlene showed us that pie graph with a lot of waste management cases from in terms of NEMA. Waste management is a problem at the moment. Most of our municipal facilities are dysfunctional. So yeah, it really is. It's something that I'm personally working on. There's a young lady that's busy with her master's on that, and we're coming up with some ideas to have a look at it. So have a look at those, some innovative ideas, and please share them with us if you can. Dust buckets, in general, they're all there, but they need attention, the condition and design. Some of the guys have battled with theft of dust buckets. You can't believe what people will steal and what they don't steal. But please have a look at that, because it affects your readings of the samples, and it can have big implications if those dust buckets are not correct. Some of the suggestions for the way forward: please ensure your environmental and social governance programs at ESG. If you haven't heard about it, you're going to hear about it a lot. Please make sure that those are implemented and maintained. Increase your employee involvement in environmental and community issues. We've spoken about that. Again, continue to maintain good community and stakeholder relations. We've spoken about that, and I've reaffirmed this because it is really, it's a very, very important part of it. And then the traffic management systems benefit both your environmental and health and safety systems. So please have a look at those things. A few white stones, as Nico always says, is not a traffic management system. You need to look at that thing. It's part of, it's going to become a big issue. It has already, in fact. So you can save yourself a lot of money. You can reduce your carbon footprints. You can make your site a lot safer. You can reduce your fuel, your emissions. It's just a win-win all over. So please have a look at those. If you do need help on traffic management systems, please contact Nico. We have got resources available in ASPASA that can assist you. Then, as I spoken earlier on, implement energy saving measures, such as on your TMMs and plant, and increase the awareness. Simple things like reducing idling, as I've mentioned, reducing empty running, make sure the plants are choke fed, etc. Don't run a plant just for the sake of running it. It must produce full on. Then to look at potential recycling projects and alternative waste management methods. I know this is a difficult one. I've given some folks some ideas, if you're really committed, you can find alternatives. Yes.
Anthony, I'm going to have to look at cutting you short just now.
I've got this second line. I'm almost finished.
Okay.
Yeah, and then awareness training, procedures which we've spoken about, the emergency drills, especially on natural disasters, which we've looked at this year. The other things that weren't there is the flood levels haven't been established, and managers to lead their sites. So be proactive, don't hesitate. And then in conclusion to this, please, it's essential to have your ESG programs operating. Sustainable development is a key to our continued existence. Management to ensure that sustainable mining methods are adopted. And then my personal thing is, please let's ensure that we leave a positive legacy for future generations. And that's me. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much,
You can see yesterday
Anthony.
was a bit different.
I'm sorry I had to interrupt you.
No problem.
Track. Okay, well, any questions? Any questions for Anthony? Okay, all right. So, okay, the next one up is health and safety with Marius van Deventer. How are you? He's not there.
No, I'm here, Trevor. Good morning. Good
Oh.
morning.
Good morning, my friend.
How are you doing, Trevor?
Absolutely fantastic. Even better with hearing from you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Trevor. And thank you for the introduction earlier after Sizwe's presentation.
We should get to know you more.
I will take the credit for what you said there, adding value and keeping you on your toes.
You may.
I won't repeat the words that you used.
Of course not. You must get some grey hair before you get that.
Good. Anneke has got my presentation there. Anneke, are you ready to show my presentation? There we go. There we go.
All right, my friend. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, Trevor. Yeah, just a good morning to everybody. And the purpose for today's presentation is just to give you a bit of feedback on what's been happening the last couple of months on the health and safety issues. Hopefully, I'm not going to contradict Anthony in what he reported on his findings, especially on the oil pollution and dust and these type of things. But yeah, some operations, maybe the preparation for audits done a bit differently compared to health and safety and environmental stuff. Okay, Anneke, next slide. Right, for the introduction, our health and safety, the EASH audits commenced for the year in February. And fortunately enough, all the members are on board again. The last 2 years has been challenging for some operations where they didn't take part in our audits. But for this year, everybody notified that they will be taking part. And there are even new members on board for this year's audits. The audit protocol was reviewed for the year, and some slight changes has been made. And the only changes made were to the scoring system of the audit document. The weights and the scoring would change, and that has had some effect in audit outcomes so far. We've seen that some scores have changed compared to previous years because a lot more emphasis being put on the implementation of what we've put to paper and the condition of the plants and the quarry itself outside. No changes been made or promulgated in the Mine Health and Safety Act, so that didn't require legal changes in our audit document as such. Members are still maintaining a very high level of compliance and are eager to contribute and learn from this entire process of our auditing. Thank you, Anneke. Okay, the focus areas of this year's audits. Now, these focus areas were highlighted at the end of 2021. And during our Health and Safety Committee meeting in January, that was also held virtually, we did say that there are certain focus areas that we will be looking at and which were seen as, let's call it shortcomings from previous years or some non-conformances being highlighted from previous year's audits. Now, obviously, right at the top is the elimination of serious accidents or incidents or high potential incidents or accidents, and corrective actions being put in place for that. Then also the improvement of process, when people improve their processes to identify the risks and non-conformances from internal inspections. We have unfortunately found over the last couple of years and even this year's audits that majority of the non-conformances identified during a day of the audit could have been identified by their own inspections and pre-start inspections as well. and it could have been eliminated. Then enforcement of requirements on pre-start checklists. Now, obviously, as I just said, majority of the non-conformances could have been put to bed already if it was done thoroughly with the pre-start checklist. Improvement of housekeeping in and around crushing and screening plants. Now, there's the first one contradicting to what Anthony said. He found housekeeping at most sites to be in good order. I do agree with him, but in some areas we can still improve on the housekeeping in our plants. Compliance to isolation and lockout requirements. Now, people, that is a major concern. Not many sites are fully compliant in their lockout requirements, and the signing off of documents. There are way too many non-conformances identified with regards to that. The next one is the improving accident incident investigations to find out root causes. Now, we are often challenged by unions and DMRE that we are only doing investigations to find a guilty party to an accident or incident. We need to remember that these investigations need to follow through, right through to the actual root cause. Start asking the 5 whys and get to the root cause, and then put control measures in place. And obviously closing that loop with your PTOs to add value. A PTO shouldn't be just a paper exercise, but really adding value. Some directives that we are focusing on: the compliance to women in mining, HIV and TB, dispensing on condoms, etc. All these directives are really important to follow through, and we are focusing on that. NEMIS reporting and recording of Section 23 refusals are also a focus area. I will say a bit more about these just now in my further feedback. Contractor management, very important, having contractors on your site and making sure that they are legally compliant and following your site-specific rules. And then MQA accredited training. It's also one of our focus areas for this year's audits. Thank you, Annika. Now, I've done 30 audits so far for this year to date. And as you can see on this table, right at the bottom on the right-hand side, the average score of 90%, 90.42, which is actually a very high score achieved. But it's only 30 audits. We are planning about 100 audits for this year again. But you can see those areas which are highlighted in red is still of a major concern. 82% contacts of the organization, and I will mention that again in my further slide, where people haven't conformed their documented system yet to a ISO 45001 requirement. Risk assessments, 87%. Now that shows that we are only identifying 87% of our risks on site. Major concern. Emergency preparedness, 88%. Anthony also referred to that on emergency drills being done. It seems like it's a problem for production guys to stop their plants or doing a emergency drill. I often ask the question to the guys, what are your site people going to do if we start the evacuation alarm now? And there are some interesting comments coming from that. 86% on monitoring, measurement, and analysis. That is with regard to accidents and incidents. As I said, we need to reduce the lost time injuries, and that also has an impact on the improvement, which is only 84%. The non-conformances, as you know, there's a major negative mark if we do identify situations on the site where it could immediately result in a section 50 or 55, and that's been marked. So there has been some of those issues identified this year so far. But the average score of 90% is still excellent score, and it shows people's commitment to the health and safety programs that they've put in place. Thank you, Anneke. Audit findings. Trevor, I'm conscious about your timing, and I will go through these very quickly. As I said, documented systems not yet converted to ISO 45. I still see documents where it refers to the old OSHAS 18001. Now, OSHAS doesn't exist anymore. So those, the way that you set up your documentation needs to be converted to the ISO standard. Revision of risk assessment when processes change. I often see that new conveyors are being built or new TMMs are implemented at the sites, but the risk assessments are not revised accordingly. Effective use of occupational hygiene surveys, survey results with action plans. The occupational hygiene results always been a concern in the sense that what do we do with the readings? The readings might show that there are no overexposures, but it's close to an action level, or it's even above action levels, and then no actions are being put in place to prevent further exposures. Making use of non-MQA accredited training providers and training providers not following unit standard requirements. We need to keep in mind, as an example, safety rep training. The accredited unit standards for that is 10 days. Now we have found people making use of service providers that train the safety rep in 1 day or 3 days. Unacceptable. MQA accredited training needs to be followed, and it's money back in your pocket if you claim your rebates as well. And these guys being trained need to be fully trained to add value to your operation. Compliance to lockout and isolation requirements. As I referred earlier, there are still major problems. I have seen sites this year so far that in 3, 4, 5 months, they've only done 10 lockouts, which means there'll never a breakdown on the site, or they don't clean the site where they need to remove guards and so on. We need some further attention to those issues on lockouts. Incomplete full implementation of traffic management plans. As Anthony also said, will contribute to health and safety programs and even environmental programs. It seems like some guys are stuck in their minds how to fully implement it. They need some further assistance on total segregation of machine to machine and machine to man exposures. Securing medical confidential information. We have found sites this year so far that medical confidential information has not been locked up and kept away from anybody's eyes, and not only to your medical staff availability. We need to make sure that those documents are kept confidentially. Thanks, Anneke. Lifting equipment and lifting tackle. Our audit findings have shown that inspection and testing, storage, training and appointed of operators, registers for issuing equipment, major concern, and we've had some serious injuries in the last year or so with regards to lifting tackle and lifting equipment, and people using it wrongly, and no register has been signed out for the issuing of those. Accidents and incidents, near-miss reporting. At some sites we still see that no near misses are reported, and that can obviously be a problem in the sense that no risks are being identified, or people are scared to report near misses to eventually identify the high potential accidents. Investigations, as I said earlier, we need some assistance there, or to follow through right to the root causes, and then implementation of corrective actions and making sure that it's actually fully implemented with your PTOs and after training has been done. Information sharing on accidents, incidents, also a concern. we don't share with our colleagues, even within your own industries. If you are not allowed to share outside, people need to know about this stuff happening, and even for them to prevent it from happening at their operations. Machine guarding, there are still some challenges with ineffective guarding or replacement of guards after maintenance or cleaning. We often see that new installations done and then machine guarding is not up to standard, or guards are not being replaced after maintenance being done. Too quick to restart the plants again. Thank you, Anneke. There are 2 new occupational hygiene code of practice guidelines that were promulgated or approved on the 1st of Feb, although it was only gazetted 11th of Feb, and to be implemented the 1st of May. Now, I've heard too much reasoning in the last month going around why the requirements on the new revised code of practice not achievable, questioning the date of implementation. Nobody understands the guideline. Not even the DMRE inspectors know what to do. And obviously, some of the sites that I've been to during May, they haven't submitted the new code of practice to the DMRE yet. People, it doesn't matter when it was promulgated or if it was promulgated the correct way. The implementation date was the 1st of May, which means it should have been submitted to the DMRE before the 1st of May and already implemented. So the new surveys to be done throughout the year according to those new guidelines, or the new code of practices rather. Code of practice for risk-based fatigue management. Now, this code of practice was done a couple of years ago. Every site's got their SOPs implemented. There are policy statements being displayed, but then we don't see any records of fatigue reports. Now, majority of the sites would say that, yeah, they don't work extended hours, they don't work night shift, people are not tired. But if you look in the dustbins, there's a lot of empty energy drink cans in the dustbins, which is just one indication of fatigueness. DMRE takes it, if there are no reports of fatigue, that the code of practice is not implemented. So we need to find better ways of reporting and documenting fatigue reports. And the same with the code of practice for right to refuse dangerous work. Every site's got their code of practice and the SOPs in place, and Section 23 policy statements are displayed. But then we've heard comments that if you can't show these type of refusals, you are denying the opportunity of actually reporting a dangerous occurrence, which is in most cases a bad assumption to be made. If there are nothing to report, there will not be reports. But we will have to find better ways of recording these actual refusals to show that it's correctly implemented. Thank you, Anneke. Anneke. Recent focus areas by DMRE inspectors. In the last couple of months in different areas, I've seen or heard that certain DMRE inspectors are focusing on some specifics. There are more frequent and official inspections by the DMRE inspectors, which is very good after the COVID issues in the last 2 years. Compliance to slope stability code of practice after recent major incidents. We've heard from a presenter earlier today, fall of ground is a major concern, and we've had a fatality on that as well. You'll remember the major slide in an open cast mine 18 months ago in the Northern Cape. So I've heard throughout the country that majority of our mining inspectors are focusing on your compliance to your code of practice for slope instability. Then obviously there's a lot of focus from the inspectors on the maintenance records and inspections of TMMs, and that includes your PDSs and collision avoidance as well, and what we have done with our traffic management plans. Conveyor belt installations has always been an issue for the inspectors, but in certain areas we've seen that they are including the fire protection requirements on conveyor belts already as well. Engineering inspections, just two issues that are highlighted there. The control of lifting equipment and lifting tackle, as I've mentioned earlier as well, and the control and replacement of flashback arresters on cutting torches. Inspectors are asking for evidence when you introduced a new flashback arrestor to be used for a date. We've even heard in certain areas that inspectors want us to engrave a date on the flashback arrestor. Now the question is always raised, are we allowed to engrave on the flashback arrestor to have a date, or can we just put it on our pre-use checklists? Achievement occupational hygiene milestones, the objectives, also a major focus area throughout the country from the inspectorate. Thank you, Anneke. Yeah, just a couple of pictures, some bad ones that we've seen in the last couple of months. Going back to Anthony's presentation as well, and Anthony, you're welcome to use this picture in your training sessions as well. Some bad pollution there in this plant that needs to be cleaned up, obviously. Thanks, Anneke. Housekeeping, yeah, obviously your rollers are stuck there, damage to the conveyor belt, costly exercise. We need to have a look at these issues, cleaning up after spillages as well. Thanks, Anneke. Talking about lifting equipment, lifting tackle earlier. Now you can see the red tags, the color code for that quarter was red. All the lifting equipment, lifting tackle being approved. But the one here on the right-hand side, if you look at the condition, they all rusted and damaged, but there's a red tag on it, which certifies that it's good for use. I will question if somebody wants to use that chain block. Doesn't look very good. Thanks, Anneke. Dust suppression. Obviously, always on a plant with startup or running empty, there's a concern on dust suppression. You can see the water there on the ground on the right-hand side. There are some dust suppression going on, but obviously on this sub-base plant, not effective. And this wasn't during a startup. It was normal operational process. So we need to be clever in our dust suppression systems that we install. Thanks, Anneke. Firefighting equipment. People always fiddle with the seals on the pins on fire extinguishers. Don't know why they want to break it off, but then they use their own initiative to put a little bit or a little piece of string there through and make their own knot. Unacceptable for people to break off seals and not use a fire extinguisher for the purpose it's there for. Thanks, Anneke. There you can see a new installation with impact idlers, fully exposed. Impact idlers shall always be guarded. So yeah, we need a guard on that impact section there. Thanks, Anneke. Just go one back again. Right, there you can see a guard there towards the tail pulley was removed after some maintenance maybe, or the installation of this red impacts there on the right-hand side and never been replaced. As you can see, the tail pulley is not sufficiently guarded, but this also goes back to your own inspection and signing off of the lockout permits that's been issued. And then obviously the spillages in that area as well. Thanks, Annika. This one is on a platform at a head pulley, and yes, the head pulley is not guarded at all and is accessible from the platform itself. So need to put some guarding there in place. Thanks, Annika. And then just the last two pictures are just showing some very nice quarries and good operations, well managed. And just to end this slideshow with two good pictures. And there's another one there for you. Thanks, Annika. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you very much, and thanks so much for taking my timing into consideration.
You know, we can talk the whole day, Trevor, about health and safety.
Well, safety, yeah, I agree. I won't argue. All right, any questions for Marius? Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Marius, as always.
Trevor?
I've just got a
with a
comment.
There's one.
Trevor?
Yes,
Yeah.
Anthony.
I just want to, add on to what Marius is saying, especially about PTOs. It was something I've also picked up on the environmental side. There's a definite lack of PTOs, and just a bit of advice to operational guys. PTOs keep you out of trouble, without a doubt. You were talking about the Section 23 reports, Marius. If guys did their PTOs on those Section 23 things, that can serve as evidence that COP is effectively implemented. So yeah, I fully support what you were saying on the PTOs there.
I agree fully with you, Anthony, and even some of our near misses that are being reported or should be reported can be noted as a Section 23 refusal. Maybe the word refusal is the wrong word to that. It sounds like a person just refusing to do a job. But yeah, near miss can be seen as a refusal as well. Thank you, Trevor.
Thanks, bud. I'll see you again soon, eh?
Yeah.
Cheerio. Okay, next up is online training with Johan Pino from DigiCentry Group. Johan, are you with us?
Yeah, Trevor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trevor, I just want to thank you, Nico and Annika, to give us a chance to give you a high level what we do at DigiCentral and solutions we can offer your ASPASA members. And I will go over immediately to Tsapang, who's going to lead us and do the intro and the presentation to you guys. So over to you, Tsapang.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Johan, and thank you very much, Trevor, for giving us an opportunity. My name is Tsapang Setipa. As Johan has said, I'm the group head for strategy for DigiCentral. And with me, I have Johan, and I have Winston, and I have Tembela, who are my colleagues in the business development side of the business. We are, I just put my camera on just for you to see what I look like. I can switch it off if you have permission. We are a South African company based in Centurion in the Gauteng province, and we are an education, technology, and skills development company. And we are we have offices in KwaZulu-Natal, in Durban, and we have offices in Cape Town as well as in Bloemfontein. And what we have done is we have used technology to make us to be able to reach our objectives because we aspire to make a very lasting social impact to communities and by uplifting the lives of unemployed youth as well as youth in schools. So what we did 3 years ago, we developed a full learner management system of the entire CAPS curriculum of South Africa, as we realized that there is. So can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so what we did 3 years ago, we developed a full learner management system of the entire CAPS curriculum of South Africa, as we realized that there is. So can you guys hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Okay, so
We can.
Oh, okay, because I see Trevor's screen was frozen. I thought it's me. So basically what we did, we realized that there was quite a big gap between education offered in schools in South Africa and the public space. And what we did, we employed teachers from high-performing schools in South Africa, and we digitized the entire CAPS curriculum from grade R to grade 12, and grade 1 to grade 3 being in isiZulu, isiXhosa, English, and Afrikaans. And we then recorded video lessons of the entire curriculum, which students can access for free online. We have partnered with the Department of Basic Education currently, where we have put 192,000 of their teacher assistants on our platform. It's called DigiCampus. And Winston, yes, please share the slide. And then we are currently working with them. We have also developed a mobile app that provides youth with opportunity to immediately start their own businesses while they are being trained and mentored online. And Winston will cover that, while Tembela will take you through DigiCampus extra classes, as we call them. Our purpose today is to show you what, at a high level, what we do. Our intention is to be able to entice and partner with your members, as our solutions are of social nature, and we can help your members in achieving and maintaining their social labor plans. And we are really interested in ensuring that education is achievable to all, especially those in the rural and communities, as well as peri-urban communities. And that's what our intention is. So I will hand over to Tembela to take you through the DigiCampus extra classes, which is the one I just mentioned about the curriculum, and then Winston will follow and talk to you about our unemployed youth solution, which we believe can help your members. Thank you very much, and Tembela, over to you.
Thank you very much, Tsepang. I think I'll also just show a video quickly, just so people can see who is presenting this section. And if you'd allow me, I'll also switch it off now. Thank you. So just to put some perspective into this part of the presentation, I've been a teacher at Maritzburg College for the past 6 years, and I've just recently left that institution. My senior class, which was an economics matric class last year, out of 24 students, we managed to get 21 A's. And I mean, I'm not going to take away anything from my teaching, but I must just mention that this app, or this platform rather, the DigiCampus Extra Classes platform, played a very, very big role in that achievement of 21 A's. So what DigiCentral has done, in essence, is take the CAPS curriculum, as Tsepang has mentioned, and videoize it, and have videos that are covering the whole syllabus. So we're talking from grade R up until grade 12. Specifically, we're looking at grade 12 and helping grade 12s, obviously for various reasons. However, this app is open to the entire student body. The app has a free version, or the platform is a free version, and this free version will just show the videos of the teachers that are teaching. So if I could just give you a simple example, with economics in term 1, we cover something called the circular economy. And when we look at the circular economy, the teacher will then deliver the lesson, usually about a 25 to 30-minute lesson. Now, the interesting and the lovely part about this DigiCampus and the extra classes, for 50 Rand extra students a month, you then get additional resources to supplement the video. So the teacher will you watch the video with the teacher, and then with the additional resources, you will then get an overview of the entire topic. After the overview, you'll get some questions that the students will then do, and then mark their own questions using a memo. Once that section is finished, there'll be notes again given to the students on the overall chapter. And then the lovely, lovely part about DigiCampus is the last or let me rather say automated marking quiz. And what happens here is that the students can then test their knowledge by going over this quiz. The quiz will then be automatically marked by the system. The students will then be shown exactly which parts they went or they got wrong. And this is lovely because then they can go back to the video and revisit those parts and attempt the questions again. So I think just to sum it up, it's basically you have a teacher in the palm of your hands or on your PC. You know, you can at any time of the day go and watch any video lesson, and it follows the exact same technique that, you know, a brick and mortar school would follow. So if I'm in term 2 right now and we're in the 6th week of term 2, I can literally go onto the platform and watch the exact same video that, you know, the majority of schools around the country should be following. So yeah, I'm not sure if there's any questions at this point, but that's just an overview of DigiCampus, the extra classes version. Thank you.
May go in there before Winston. So our interest with DigiCampus and ASPASA members is to say you are working in communities where some of them have poor education to non-existing education facilities. I mean, 2 days ago we were talking to a school in KZN where they haven't had a geography teacher from January. And what we're saying is some of your members have already built community centers. Some are helping communities in one way or another. And we're saying for 50 rands a month, why don't we partner and try to make a difference in the kids' lives in the region, which can be taken from your CSI. And with the next presentation from Winston, we'll be able to show you exactly also how through tax breaks, we can also help you make a difference while it doesn't cost you any money. So our interest really with DigiCampus is, can we partner with ASPASA members in the communities that they're already working within and see how we can either adopt a school or adopt a grade and put the kids on DigiCampus. And like we said, DigiCampus has already partnered with the Department of Education. Our videos have been played for matriculants on the HOSA Matric program on TV. We are not a fly-by-night company. We're already there as a partner of the department, and we are talking to governments out of South Africa as well. So I just wanted to conclude that after Tabela's presentation. And over to you, Winston.
Okay, thank you very much. It would appear that protocol is to show the face briefly so people can see that I'm not an avatar or talking head. So thank you everybody for your attendance and your giving us this opportunity to present this little overview. Yeah, when I came across DigiCentral, I realized that as an organization, they specialize in solving macro socioeconomic problems with scalable solutions. And as you can see, the DigiCampus Extra Classes solution is tailored for the education crisis that we're experiencing in increasing measures here in South Africa. The last 2 years has resulted in kids missing out on up to 70 or even 80% in some instances of their learning time and face-to-face time with their teachers. Then the other macroeconomic problem that we try to address is that of unemployment with a scalable solution. So the Sonke app was first developed for unemployed youth. But some companies did say, well, we would like to train our employees, or at least our fixed-term contractors or our seasonal workers on this as well. And so we came up also with the cost-effective labor solutions, which ASPASA members might want to look at over and above their social and labor plans. Essentially, if you bring a person in on a learnership, you don't pay them the minimum wage, you pay them the learnership allowance, which is usually less. And then through the ETI and the other learnership tax breaks, you essentially save quite a lot of money. And we'll show you in the last slide that it can actually even be zero rated in terms of the net cost at the end. The Sonke program is an entrepreneurship learnership, the new venture creation learnership. It's an accredited learnership, which is why you're able to get the tax breaks on it. It lasts 12 months. You can bring the person in on the learnership contract for 12 months with no obligation to keep them on thereafter. as we said, we have tailored it so that people can use it for companies can use it for employees. But for me, the real heart of it and the real genius of it is the way that it enables companies to empower unemployed youth. And the learning is developed, delivered through the app. The learner gets a 150 gigabyte, let me start that again. 30 gigabytes per month data package through MTN for it, which enables them to download all the learning and upload all his or her assessments, etc., portfolio of evidence. And then in addition to that, it enables the learner to start to trade from day one, start running their own business from day one. And what we do to enable that is that we've got companies that have products, usually in the form of vouchers, discount vouchers, electronic vouchers, etc., but also market survey capabilities, etc., that enables the learner to start their business from their own home, from where they live, and start adding directly to the economy there. And we've seen a number of learners, once they're finished, that they still have access to the app. Once they're finished, they've gone on to build little businesses, to employ people. Some haven't even really used the products on the app much, but they've gone on to employ 4 people and run a clothing business. They've gone on to buy construction equipment and club together and either become a construction service in one instance, another that they rent their construction tools out in their village. And probably our biggest and most famous success story is Cloudy Deliveries, who last count had employed 22 people. They were featured on E-News. And they do a delivery service on bicycles in one of the townships in the Western Cape. So we've got a great track record of addressing youth unemployment through this, and really can be used by your members to be incorporated into their social and labour plans. Thank you. Any questions, or can Tsapang step in at this point?
Winston, do you mind just showing the calculation how it works? Yes, the costing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. So the cost of the program is just under 3,300 per month. That includes the learner's stipend and the training fee, and the training fee includes their the access to the data. The tax incentives then include your 12H, which is your learnership tax incentive, which you get once from the time that the learnership is signed, learnership agreement is signed, and that that tax discount takes effect every 6 months at your provisional tax return. But it equates to 933 a month if you spread it out over 12 months. Then the ETI, the employment tax incentive, as you know, has been increased to 1,500 a month. And so that's a monthly saving off the 3,290, because that comes off the PAYE that you pay every month per learner. And then the 11A is your straight expenses, tax payments. So your total taxes that you can save through this is 3,354, which is actually slightly more than what the cost is. So at the end of your tax year, the net cost is 0 or a slight actual saving.
Thank you very much, Winston. So I think in closing, colleagues, I would like to point out that through the Sonke program, through Sonke, we have trained more than 80,000 unemployed youth in South Africa. And we are working with different clienteles from farming companies to farming corporates to PTYs. Your Coca-Cola is one of our clients. And currently we have about 6,000 unemployed youth that are on the program. And through the Department of Basic Education Partnership, we're going to put a further 15,000 on the program. And we will be looking for partners, corporate partners who will want to fund them. But from a small mining company perspective, your casual labor cost can be cut dramatically by employing an unemployed youth and putting them through a learnership instead of employing an unemployed youth and pay them minimum wage as is normally done. We are currently talking to MessMart. I'm just giving you an example of to just show you the numbers. MessMart through this program, they will save about 120 million rand on their casual labor alone. So we are coming to ASPASA with these two products, saying in terms of social labor plans and in terms of working with communities, we believe that the products, especially education being a very key, important element, both products are able to make a difference. And we believe that with partnering with your members, we can look at what project or what of our products work and can add value to the communities, especially since both solutions offer sustainable BE strategies and can be really funded through that spend. So we want to get access to the different regions and talk to members and see how we can work together and partner together. And because of the shortness of the presentation, we didn't really show you live what the platforms look like, which you can do as well. But that is in summary what we wanted to talk to you guys about. And thank you very much for the opportunity. We'll take any questions if there are questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, can I ask that we just make sure that these presentations are sent to ASPASA, because and make sure your contact details are on those presentations, so the guys that we send it to can contact you.
Okay, we will do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Jabal. All right, so the next presentation is media exposure for the small surface mining industry, with this Sharon McNamara from Interact Media. Sharon, are you there? No. So we've tried to find Sharon. It looks like she hasn't booked on. All right, so let's leave that one out, and we then move on to services that ASPASA provide or give, as Nico put it. So I contacted Nico. Unfortunately, his internet is down. It looks like he has got a power problem up in Dullstroom. So he's asked to be excused from that. I contacted him on the phone. His phone still works for some reason. Okay, so I'd like to thank everybody who joined on this regional meeting. And I sincerely hope that the next time we do a meeting, I'll be able to shake your hands. That would be amazing. I actually miss you guys. All right, so keep safe. Remember that we only have one planet, and if we don't look after it, we don't even have something to walk on, no matter how healthy and safe we are. If we don't have a planet, we're all stuffed. So look after that as well. But most important, look after yourself and your team. Thank you very much, guys. Cheerio.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Trevor. Keep well.
Thanks, Trevor. Have a good day. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, I
Bye.
will. Thanks, Anthony. Cheers.
Cheers.